Good morning, all of you boys. Let us start our today's class. So that is quantitative analysis. Yesterday started, boys. Already about carbon and hydrogen estimations, that is quantitative estimations, we completed. Liebing process. So percentage of carbon and percentage of hydrogen, both are covered yesterday, boys. A problem also solved. Now subheading, that is estimation of halogen cell. So that is Carius method. Carius method. This Carius method is applicable to estimate for estimation of halogens, next phosphorus and sulfur. All these three are estimated by this method, boys. Carius method, scientist name. So first of all, I am trying to explain, that is halogens. A. Estimation of halogens. That is chlorine or bromine or iodine only, boys. Estimation of halogens. That is by Carius method. See, boys, our organic compound contains halogens. So how much halogen is there? Percentage of halogen we are going to find out. That percentage by Carius method. Listen carefully. See here. Take organic component, a little organic compound. Before entering into the experiment, so find out known weight of organic compound. We know the weight, how much weight of our organic compound is involved in the reaction. Known weight, that should be required. Known weight of organic compound is first of all created with fuming, HNO3, fuming nitric acid, okay, plus AgNO3, silver nitrate. So boys, this is silver nitrate test. So AgNO3. So the entire mixture, AgNO3 solution. The entire mixture is boiled in a tube, hard tube, in a hard tube called as Carius tube. So called as Carius tube. So entire mixture is heated, boys. What happened? The halogen present in the organic compound converted into, so silver with halogen combination gives silver halide. See here what happened. So that is, during this process, the carbon present in this organic compound converted into carbon dioxide, because this is oxidizing agent, boys. This oxidizing agent can oxidize carbon to carbon dioxide, hydrogen to water, and halogen. This halogen into, so with this silver halide. Halogen into silver halide is the product, boys. So now we are going to halogen combination. So already this one and this one are estimated in your previous session. That is Liebing's process. But we are in halogen. That's why I am considering only silver halide. So it is nothing but silver halide. It may be AgCl or AgBr or AgIn. That silver halide may be AgCl or AgBr or AgI, depending on the, that is, this is a white precipitate, boys. Depending on the nature of element, this is white precipitate, this is a pale yellow precipitate, this is yellow precipitate. This is yellow precipitate, boys. So now this one or this one or this one. So find the weight of precipitate. Find the weight of precipitate. Okay, separate that precipitate, wash it out. that is purified. So after purification, how much is the weight of the precipitate? Find out the weight. That's why finally we have weight of AgX. Weight of AgX we have. This is the weight of AgX. Next, how much weight of organic compound actually we are taking? This is we know. By using these 2 points, we can prepare. We can estimate halogen by using the formula. So that is, what is that formula? That formula is, see here. Boys, here AgF not possible anymore because it is soluble anymore. Because it is soluble, it is not possible, boys. That's why AgF is not involved in this reaction. Okay. Now, so we have weight of organic compound and weight of precipitate formed. By using these 2, we calculate percentage of halogen by Carrier's method with the help of the formula. Percentage of halogen is equal to, that is, atomic weight of halogen by gram molecular weight of halogen, silver halides into weight of AgX by, that is nothing but precipitate, by weight of organic compounds into 100. This is the formula used to calculate, boys. For example, so I want to find out percentage of chlorine. If chlorine is there, AgCl is the product. It is atomic weight of Cl, right? Atomic weight of Cl is how much? 35.5, because only one halogen is there. That is why one atom weighted 35.5 by Ag. So that is gram molecular weight of AgCl. AgCl, silver 108, chlorine 35.5. It is AgCl molecular weight, boys. That is how much? It is 143.5. Therefore, 143.5 gram molecular weight of AgCl into weight of AgCl precipitate by weight of organic compounds into 100. Into 100. Similarly, percentage of bromine is equal. Bromine atomic weight 80. 80 by 108 plus 80. 108 plus 80 is 188 into weight of AgBr precipitate by weight of organic compounds into 100. Next, similarly, percentage of iodine. Atomic weight of iodine is 127. 127. So 127 plus 108. So AgINE. So that is how much? 235 into weight of AgI, which is precipitate, boys, by weight of organic compounds into 100. So this is general formula. These are individual formulas. These are by using these formulas you can calculate. By using these formulas you can calculate. So percentage weight of required halogen. So let us take one problem based on this. Let us take one problem based on this. See here. That is problem now. That is, no doubt, 1 gram of bromoalkane, 1 gram of bromoalkane on heating with excess silver nitrate in Carrier's method, gave 0.94 grams of yellow precipitate. 0.94 grams of yellow precipitate. What is the percentage of? What is the percentage of halogen? What is the percentage of halogen? Boys, see here. It is a bromohalogen, bromoalkane. That means bromine is the halogen. Because bromine is the halogen, the precipitate is yellow in color. That is pale yellow in color. Therefore, the halogen must be bromine. Here, halogen is bromine. Therefore, percentage of Br is equal to, because it is yellow precipitate, it is nothing but AgBr. Here, directly given bromo component, bromoalkane. That means no doubt that halogen must be brominic. Percentage of bromine is equal to, what is that formula? 80 by 188 into weight of AgBr by weight of organic compound into 100. That is 80 by 188 into weight of AgBr, precipitate. This is what is the precipitate weight? So 0.94 grams by weight of organic compound. 1 gram is considered by 1 into 100. Finally, we have the answer. How much it is? 48. It is a percentage of bromine, boys. Like this, number of problems. Like this, number of problems. Okay, you can solve. I will send the notes. Okay, is this easy or difficult? Boys, easy or difficult? So, do you know the formula? Yes. Now, subheading estimation of sulfur. Second one, Carrier's method B. Estimation of sulfur. Similarly, same known weight of organic compounds is treated with something, a precipitate is formed. The precipitate weight is find out. So by using some formula, you can calculate the percentage. See here, how is that? That is known weight of organic compound. So known weight of organic compound, please take it. This we feel this contains a sulfur. It contains sulfur, boys. This organic compound is treated with oxidizing agents. What is that? Either fuming nitric acid or Na2O2, sodium peroxide. So this is treated with fuming HNO3 or Na2O2, sodium peroxide. Either of these two is used. Okay. So, and heated. Heated. Why? These two are oxidizing agents. So that means the sulfur present in this organic compounds completely oxidized to respect to sulfated. Respect to sulfate. That means sulfur from organic compounds converts into H2SO4, sulfuric acid. That means 2 H plus ions and SO4 minus 2 ions. That means the total sulfur is converted into sulfate. Total sulfur is converted into sulfated. So sulfur present in your organic compound is completely converted into sulfated. Now I am going to precipitate this. So for precipitating, I am using barium chloride. That barium plus 2 ion and this SO4 minus 2 ion combination gives barium sulfate, which is insoluble, which is precipitate out. So I want that precipitate. So that way, so this is treated with barium chloride solution. That gives barium sulfate. It is precipitate, white precipitated. This is white precipitate. Find the weight. So we know the weight of barium sulfate, how much is formed. How much weight of that barium sulfate is formed. We can calculate it, boys. So finally, we have weight of barium sulfate and weight of organic compound. By using similar formula, just like that for halogens, we can calculate percentage of sulfur, boys. See here, percentage of sulfur is equal to. So see, boys, here how many sulfurs are there? Only one sulfur in it. Atomic weight of one sulfur, that is 32 sulfur atomic weight by gram molecular weight of BaSO4 into weight of BaSO4 precipitate by weight of organic compounds into 100. So this is the formula used to calculate percentage of sulfur by Carrier method. Percentage of sulfur by Carrier method. So barium atomic weight 137. It is 137. So that implies, therefore, percentage of sulfur is equal to 32 by atomic weight of sulfur. Just in previous case, atomic weight of chlorine. Now here, atomic weight of sulfur. So 32 by barium sulfate, barium 137, 137 is 233, that's correct. 233 into weight of BaSO4 by weight of organic compound into 100. Okay, so by using this formula, you can calculate percentage of sulfur, boys. Percentage of sulfur. Note down the problem based on this. Note down the problem based on this. A simple problem, just like in previous case. In sulfur estimation, problem ra. In sulfur estimation, 0.157 grams of 0.157 grams of an organic compound gave 0.4813 grams of barium sulfate. 0.4813 grams of barium sulfate. So percentage of sulfur is equal to how much? So percentage of sulfur is equal to how much? Apply the formula, boys. That is, what is that? Percentage of sulfur is equal to 32 by 233 into weight of BaSO4 barium sulfate by weight of organic compounds into 100. That is 32 by 233 into weight of BaSO4, this much weight in 0.4813 by weight of organic compound, this much 0.157 into 100. Finally, I have answer 42.10. 42.10. So this is the final answer, boys. So this is the way to calculate percentage of sulfur with the help of our Carrier's method. Next subheading, percentage of phosphorus. Percentage of phosphorus. Sorry, estimation of phosphorus. C. Estimation of phosphorus. Once again, same. Known weight of organic compound converted into precipitate. So just like in previous formulas, so here also possible. So let us take how is this possible. See here, boys. Once again, known weight of organic compound. Take known weight of organic compound having phosphorus. So how to know phosphorus? Already we know how to detect that phosphorus, boys. That is ammonium molybdate test, Canry yellow precipitate. So if you get that Canry yellow precipitate with ammonium molybdate, So no doubt that should contain phosphorus. Now I am trying how much phosphorus is there. So like that. So this is the phosphorus containing compound. So this is first of all treated with sodium peroxide. Sodium peroxide or fuming nitric acid acts as good oxidizing agents, boys. These are good oxidizing agents. And heatage. This entire mixture is heated, boys. That is in our carrier's tube. So see the total phosphorus present in this organic compound with the help of this HNO3 or Na2O2 oxidizing agent. So completely converted into H3PO4. H3PO4. That means orthophosphoric acid. So completely converted into orthophosphoric acid or phosphoric acid, boys. So this contains phosphate ion. This contains phosphate ion, boys. PO4 3- ion exists, that is called as phosphate ion. This phosphate ion is going to be precipitated in two methods. So two different methods. Any one of these two is used. One is ammonium molybdate and the other one is the precipitate is magnesium pyrophosphate. See here. So this formed phosphate ion is going to be precipitated in two ways. That is first method. First one. So what is this first method? Here. So magnesia mixture is used, guys. Magnesia mixture. What is this magnesia mixture? Magnesia mixture is nothing but magnesium chloride, MgCl2 plus ammonium hydroxide plus ammonium chloride. This mixture is called as magnesia mixture. So to this H3PO4, magnesia mixture is used. This magnesia mixture is added and heated. So that gives Mg NH4 magnesium ammonium phosphate. A precipitate is formed. Magnesium ammonium phosphate. The name of this compound is magnesium ammonium phosphate. It is strongly heated. And converts into this magnesium ammonium phosphate. What is magnesium plus 2, ammonium plus 1, plus 1 plus 2 plus 3, phosphate minus 3, balanced rate. Now it converts into Mg2P2O7. It is called as magnesium pyrophosphate. Magnesium pyrophosphate. It is the precipitate, boys. Finally, we have magnesium pyrophosphate. So find the weight. Find the weight of this precipitate. Find the weight of this precipitate. By using this precipitate weight, we can calculate the magnesium, that is the phosphorus, that is the percentage weight. So I'm writing, boys, there is no gap at me. So that's why I'm writing here. So you should write at the bottom of this equation. At the bottom of this thing. Percentage of phosphorus is equal to. See, boys, in this magnesium pyrophosphate, how many phosphorus are there? 2 phosphorus. That is 2 into atomic weight of phosphorus. So 2 into atomic weight of phosphorus 31 by molecular weight of magnesium pyrophosphate. Salt magnesium 24, phosphorus 31, oxygen 50. Altogether the value is 222. 222. That is the molecular weightage. So 2 into 31 by 222 into weight of magnesium pyrophosphate by weight of organic compounds into 100. So weight of magnesium pyrophosphate by weight of organic compound into 100. So by using this formula, you should calculate the percentage. See, boys, what is the precipitate here? That is magnesium pyrophosphate. Magnesium pyrophosphate. What is this formula? Magnesium Mg2P2O7 ra. So P2O7 minus 4, 2 Mg plus. P2O7 minus 4, 2 Mg plus. Overall, this is the precipitate wise. Overall, this. Along with this, ammonia and water also liberated wise, but we need this precipitate. So this is the way to prepare a precipitate from this phosphoric acid wise. It is one way. There is also another way, that is ammonium molybdate test. Already we conducted in our detection first. So that ammonium phosphate test is used. In alternatively, now second, what is that second condition? So to this, ammonia NaH3 plus ammonium molybdate is used. Ammonium molybdate. What is its formula? NaH4 twice MoO3. Sorry, MoO4. Ammonium molybdate. So this is ammonium molybdate, boys. So this ammonium molybdate is used. So to this phosphoric acid, ammonia gas and ammonium molybdate is used. Added and heated. Okay. So now, so canary yellow precipitate is formed, boys. Canary yellow precipitate is formed. So find its weight. What is this canary yellow precipitate, boys? That is ammonium phosphomolybdate. Already we know. That is, the precipitate name is ammonium phosphomolybdate. Ammonium phosphomolybdate is the precipitate, boys. Its formula is ammonium phosphate 12MoO3. Ammonium phosphomolybdate. That is thrice NaHO, ammonium phosphomolybdate. So its gram molecular weight, boys, altogether it is 1877 gram molecular weight of that compound. Its gram molecular weight is 222, but its gram molecular weight is 1877. Final calculation. How many phosphorus are there here? Only one phosphorus. Now the formula is percentage of phosphorus is equal to one phosphorus, that is atomic weight of phosphorus, by molecular weight of that precipitate, that is 1877 into weight of, that is ammonium phosphomolybdate, weight of ammonium phosphomolybdate by weight of organic compounds into 100. So percentage weight of phosphorus is equal to, so only one phosphorus is there. That's why I'm using atomic weight. One into atomic weight of phosphorus. That is a 31 into 1877 into weight of ammonium. That is a precipitate, boys. Weight of ammonium phosphomolybdate by weight of organic compound into 100. Weight of organic compound into 100. So this is the way to prepare, to estimate phosphorus wise. Either like this or like this. Mostly we are using this one, wise. So magnesium pyrophosphate. Frequently we are using this one, but this one also used. Now, so this is about Carrier's method for halogens, sulfur and phosphorus. Next main subheading, estimation of nitrogen. That is very, very, very important. Estimation of nitrogen. Okay, next one. It is very, very important. It is estimation of nitrogen. Boys, nitrogen is estimated in two methods. One is Dumas method and the other one is Geldahl's method. That is very, very important. So first of all, we are taking Dumas method and then second Geldahl's method. So it is by two methods. So one is Dumas method and the second one is K silent, KJEL, gel, DAHLFS, Geldahl's method. So Dumas method and Geldahl's method. By using these two methods, nitrogen can be estimated. First of all, first subheading, Dumas method. Dumas method. Yes, Geldahl, it is very, very, very important. Okay. So Dumas method and Geldahl's method. First of all, a simple one, that is Dumas method. I am going to complete, boys. See here, Dumas method. So what is that? So consider our organic compounds. It contains nitrogen. We know nitrogen is there by using previous tests. We know nitrogen is there. Now how much nitrogen is there? So in Dumas method, the entire nitrogen here is converted into N2 gas. In Dumas method, the nitrogen present in your organic compound is finally converted into N2 gas. So this N2 gas volume at STP in ml, we find out and used to calculate percentage of nitrogen, boys. So the entire nitrogen present in your organic compound is converted into nitrogen, boys. How is that? So percentage of nitrogen is equal to, by using the formula, percentage of nitrogen is equal to 2 nitrogens, boys. 2 into nitrogen atomic weight, 2 into 14, that is 28 by. So here we are considering volume. That is why molecular weight in terms of volume is gram molar volume. That too in ml. That is 22,400 into volume of N2 at STP by weight of organic compounds into 100. So this is the formula used to calculate percentage of nitrogen in Dumas method. So percentage of nitrogen is equal to 28 by 22,400 into volume of N2 at STP by weight of organic compound into 100. Why? This formula already we used in the calculation of empirical formulas for estimating, for find out the nitrogen percentage. Already we used, but this is the formula. Here we are using. So sir, how to find out this nitrogen at nitrogen volume at STP? So what is the process here? The process here is, so that is, see here, boys, I am cleaning it. That is, boys, our organic compound that is, that contains carbon, hydrogen along with nitrogen. Carbon, hydrogen along with nitrogen. For our convenience, X atoms of carbon, Y atoms of nitrogen, Z atoms of nitrogen, Y atoms of hydrogen, Z atoms of nitrogen are there. This is our organic compound. That contains nitrogen. along with carbon and hydrogen. Because organic compound, there should be compulsory carbon and almost nitrogen. Hydrogen is there. Along with those two, nitrogen also present. Okay, this is oxidized. This compound is oxidized with the help of oxidizing agent cupric oxide. It is oxidizing agent. Cupric. Take some graphite. I am going to balance finally. So it is taking cupric oxide. It is the oxidizing agent. Now here, so the entire carbon present in this organic compound with this oxygen converts into carbon dioxide. First, take some step. I will balance. Plus why hydrogen with oxygen combination gives H2O plus nitrogen itself is converted into N2 gas. N2 gas. This copper is as copper. Okay. So these are now X carbon atoms are there. Therefore, X CO2 is formed. Y hydrogen atoms are there. Therefore, Y by 2 hydrogen H2O is formed. Next, Z nitrogens are there. It is Z by 2. Nitrogens are there. Z by 2 nitrogens. Z by 2 nitrogens. Next, how much copper oxide is required? So here, find out the oxidants. 2x copper oxidants. It is Y by 2. Therefore, here 2x plus Y by 2 oxygen atoms are required. That's why it is 2x plus Y by 2 oxygen atoms are required. 2x plus Y by 2. So therefore, here copper, how much is formed? 2x plus Y by 2 copper is formed. 2x plus Y by 2 copper is formed. So this is the reaction wise. This is the balanced equation. This is the balanced equation. In this balanced equation, nitrogen gas is evaporated. Not only direct nitrogen, this nitrogen, this N2 gas also contains some oxides of nitrogen. Some oxides of nitrogen like NO2 like that. That means that the nitrogen may also react with oxygen nitrogen oxides. So that's why. So not entire nitrogen here is converted into N2. Now these nitrogen oxides also I am trying to convert into nitrogen gas. So therefore, oxides of nitrogen when treated with copper metalate. So from this oxygen is collected, that gives N2 gas plus cupric oxide. This is N2. So therefore, this N2 and this N2 all together the total volume of N2. Therefore, find the total volume of N2 gas at STP. It is important. Find the total volume of nitrogen gas at STP in ml, which is also called as a cc. In ml or cc, cubic centimeters. Okay, this nitrogen volume is used in our formula. That is, percentage of nitrogen is equal to 28 by 22,400 into volume of N2 at STP in ml by weight of organic compound into 100. By using this formula, we can calculate percentage of nitrogen. By using this formula, we can calculate percentage of nitrogen. Very, very, very important. So here some oxides of nitrogen also formed. Those oxides are also converted into N2 gas with the help of copper. Here copper acts as reducing agent. Here copper acts as reducing agent. Here cupric oxide acts as oxidizing agent. Here copper oxygen state +2. Here 0. Here 0. Here +2 change it to 0. Here 0 change it to +2. Okay. So it is oxidizing agent. This is reducing agent. This is reducing agent. So with the help of this, we can find out the volume of nitrogen at STP in ml. So by using that, we can calculate percentage of nitrogen in Gill mass method. Gill mass method. Very, very important. Okay, boys. Did you catch my point? Did you catch my point? Now we are going to calculate a problem based on this. Okay. Now problem based on this side. The problem based on this concept was, see here, problem question, 0.25 grams of an organic compound (0.25 grams of an organic compound gave 30 centimeter cube of moist dinitrogen at 288 Kelvin and 745 mm of Hg pressure. Calculate the percentage of nitrogen. Calculate the percentage of nitrogen given aqueous tension at 288 Kelvin is 12.7 mm of Hg. This is the question, boys. 0.25 grams of an organic compound gave that much. See here, boys, what are the temperature given to you? 288 Kelvin. STP condition 273 Kelvin. But the temperature is 280. That means this gas is not at STP. Pressure is 1 atmosphere, STP condition. 1 atmosphere means 76 centimeters or 760 mmHg. But here the pressure is 745 mmHg. So pressure is also not at STP. That means the gas is not at STP. First of all, find out the volume of the gas at STP, because in our formula we should use nitrogen at STP. But it is at other cases. So that is why. So first of all, find out the volume of gas at STP and then use our formula. Okay. So see here, boys. Next, one more point. This is moist dinitrogen. Moist dinitrogen. See here. Moist dinitrogen means N2. Moist N2 means, so that is, it contains dry N2 plus water vapor. Moist means some water vapor is there. So that is a dry nitrogen plus water vapor. So we should use pressure of dry nitrogen, but not moist nitrogen. So therefore, so this is, I am taking wet gas any. This is dry gas. This is water vapor. Now, pressure of wet gas is equal to pressure of dry gas plus pressure of water vapor. Pressure of water vapor. This pressure of water vapor is nothing but aqueous tension. So aqueous tension means pressure of water vapor. So pressure of water vapor in terms generally in our chemistry, in science, technically called as aqueous tension. But we should use only nitrogen, not mixture of gases. So that's why I am trying to use only pressure of dry gas. Therefore, pressure of dry gas is equal to pressure of wet gas minus aqueous tension. This is this one, boys. That is, pressure of wet gas is how much? So this is 745 minus aqueous tension at that temperature is 12.7, which is equal to 732.3 mmn. This is pressure of N2, dry N2. Pressure of, we must use this formula, this value and not this value, boys. We are using nitrogen, that is not mixture of nitrogen with other gases. We must use nitrogen gas pressure. So this is the pressure of nitrogen gas at that pressure, at that condition. Boys, is this concept clear? Is this concept clear? Please tell me. Okay. Now pressure of. So these values we should turn into atmospheric conditions. Atmospheric conditions. Okay. See here, given condition. So pressure P, let us take P1. Pressure is how much? This is the pressure, boys. This is I am taking pressure condition 732.3 mmn. Next, volume V1 at this temperature. How much volume of the gas? That is 30 centimeter cube. Temperature at which temperature it is? That is 288 Kelvin. 288 Kelvin. This is given condition, boys. STP conditions. STP conditions. That is, let us take P2 pressure of, that is 1 atmosphere, that is 760 mmn. Because it is in mm, I am taking mmn. Next, volume we should find out volume of nitrogen. Next, temperature T2 STP standard temperature, that is 273 Kelvin. 273 Kelvin. So by using these two values, we have a formula based on our ideal gas equation. That is equation of ideal. That is ideal gas equation. That is, we know P1 V1 by T1 is equal to P2 V2 by T2. What is this V2 V2 boys? That is the volume of N2 at STP. This is volume of N2 at STP. Now I am trying to find out the volume of N2 at STP. So now I want to find out V2. That implies V2 is equal to P1 V1 by T1 into P2 by P2. Apply condition. Therefore, V2 is equal to P1 732.3. That is V1 30 by T1 288 into P2 273 by P2 760. So final calculation that is 27.4. That is CCN. 27.4 CCN. This is the volume of nitrogen at STP. Use this value, not this value. Because these are other cases. Now this is the volume of gas at STP. So that is why whenever other conditions are given to you, that values should be, that means volume of gas should be converted into at STP conditions. At STP. By using this like this formula. Okay. So this is all available in your gaseous state boys. That chapter is not completed yet for you. So we will discuss that is at the time of our college working hours. Okay. So this is the way to find out volume of nitrogen at STP. By using this volume of nitrogen at STP, we can calculate the percentage of nitrogen. So now percentage of nitrogen is equal. Apply our formula. .4 value. Please try to mind it. Therefore, percentage of nitrogen is equal to, that is 28 by 22,400 into volume of N2 at STP in ml by weight of organic compound into 100. That is 28 by 22,400 into volume of N2 at STP. How much we found out, boys? That is 27.4 by weight of organic compound 0.25 into 100. So finally we have 13.6 is the answer. 13.6. If sometimes the volume of nitrogen liberated at STP is directly given to you, use direct formula. If not directly given to you, so already you should calculate. We should calculate. So just like previous cases, just before case. Okay. So this is 13.6 is the percentage of nitrogen in your given organic. So this value is not directly given to you, boys. That's why. So that is converted in terms of the given required conditions. Okay. So this is about percentage of nitrogen by Dumas method. Percentage of nitrogen by Dumas method. Next. Note down one more problem, boys, for your homework. For your homework, please. MM means anyone. Given condition is mm. That's why I'm taking mm. So see, boys, 1 atmosphere is equal to 76 centimeters or 760 mm. We should convert anything values. So that is we will explain at the time of our states of matter. Okay, 1 atmosphere is equal to 76 mm of Hg or 760 yes of Hg, mm of Hg. Okay, so that is the conversions. Okay, take one more problem for your homework. 0.3 grams of an organic compound. 0.3 grams of an organic compound gave 50 ml nitrogen at 27 degrees centigrade. At 27 degrees centigrade and 715 mm pressure, mm of Hg pressure and pressure. If the aqueous tension at 27 degrees centigrade is 15 mm, calculate the percentage of nitrogen in the compound. Calculate the percentage of nitrogen in the compound. So this is for your homework, boys, just like our previous problem. Once again, it is 27, not 0 degrees centigrade. It is 715, but 760 is the standard conditions. So that means other conditions are given to you. So you should convert into STP. Yes. Sir, is this N2 wet or dry? So whenever the term aqueous tension is given to you, if problem contains aqueous tension, the given gas must be wet in condition. Wet condition. If no aqueous tension is given to you, that is dry gas. If aqueous tension is given to you, that is wet gas. Now in this problem, this is wet gas. Now in this condition, that is wet gas. So final answer. I am giving answer, boys. Yes, you are correct, Prishant. 17.46 is the answer. 17.46 is the answer. Okay, try yourself. This is Dumas method. Now, studying Geldahl's method. Geldahl's method, very important. Geldahl's method. Confirm a bit. 100% confirm at least 2 bits based on this in this week's mains syllabus. At least 2 bits. More than 3 expected, but at least 3 bits must be from Geldahl condition. Okay, boys. Now subheading second one. Gelda's methods. Gelda's methods. Boys, in our previous methods, that is Juma's methods, the entire nitrogen present in your given organic compound converted into N2. N2. But here converts into ammonia. That is the difference between these two. So there N2 is the final gas. Here ammonia is the gas. And nitrogen containing gas, ammonia. See here, note down the first point. Here, nitrogen in the given compounds converts into ammonia gas, a basic gas. It has a basic nature. Ammonia is a basic compound. It is a base. So ammonia gas, here ammonia gas is converted into ammonia. We find out the ammonia conditions and ammonia conditions. See here what we have explained. Next, the principle used in this process is back titration. The principle used in this process is back titration. Very, very important. Already at the time of titrations, we explained number of different types of titrations. That is acid-base titrations, next redox titrations, double indicator titrations, back titrations. All these are covered by us at the time of our stoichiometry titrations. So it is the application of back titrations. See here what happens. So now boys, so what is the method here? What is the method here? So let us observe the experiments. Let us observe the experiments. Here a flask is considered. That flask is designed by Geldal. That's why that flask is called as Geldal's flask. See here. So this is, let us consider that flask, boys. I'm taking, this is a flask made by Geldal. That's why this flask is called as Geldal's flask. This is considered as Geldal's flask, boys. So in this Geldal flask, okay, take known mass of organic compounds containing nitrogen. So in this Geldal flask, take known mass of organic compound containing nitrogen. Okay, to this H2SO4 is added, concentrated H2SO4. It is concentrated H2SO4. To this concentrated H2SO4 is added. In this mixture, so it contains H2SO4 and our organic compound. In this mixture, also adds K2SO4, potassium sulfate salt. For what purpose, sir? To increase the boiling point of H2SO4. So it is to increase the boiling point of H2SO4. To increase the boiling point of H2SO4, add K2SO4. Add K2SO4 to increase the boiling point of H2SO4. That means to maintain the high temperature condition. Okay. Next, add to this, add either, what is that, CuSO4 or mercury as catalyst for this process. See boys, what are those present in your Jaldal class? Our organic compound, calculated weight of organic compound, excess of sulfuric acid. To increase the melting boiling point of that sulfuric acid, K2SO4 is used. To increase the rate of reaction, catalyst is used, that is either CuSO4 or HQ. So these are the conditions. Now the entire mixture is boiled. Now the entire mixture is boiled. So what happens during this boiling? So the nitrogen present in this organic compound. So nitrogen from organic compounds. So in the presence of all those, that is H2SO4, K2SO4, CuSO4, in the presence of all these, the entire nitrogen is converted into ammonium sulfate. So first of all, the entire nitrogen, total nitrogen present here is converted into here. If you find out the percentage of this ammonium, nitrogen in this ammonium sulfate, there is a percentage of this nitrogen present in your organic compound. Okay, so this is ammonium sulfate pipe. This is the precipitate, separate each. Okay, now this ammonium sulfate is once again is treated with, that is, I'm taking this one as a distillation. See here, distilled. Later it is distilled with NaOH. NaOH. It is a strong base, boys. It is strong base. Any ammonium salt with strong base liberates ammonia. That gives ammonia. That gives ammonia. So that means, so this liberated ammonia contains nitrogen, boys. The percentage of nitrogen in ammonia is equal to percentage of nitrogen here. So here the percentage of nitrogen is equal to here. That means directly the percentage of nitrogen present in ammonia is equal to percentage of nitrogen present in your organic compound. It is the experiment. It is the experiment. Okay. So now see what is the method, what is the formula used to find out this percentage of nitrogen. Guys, up to now, is there any doubt? Up to now, is there any doubt? Tell me. Is there any doubts? So this mixture is heated and finally the compound, during this process, ammonia gas is evolved. Now, by using that liberated ammonia gas, liberated ammonia gas, okay. So how to find out this? How to find out? Yes, because I want to find out percentage of ammonia, percentage of nitrogen. Now the percentage of nitrogen is in the form of ammonia. Now we have ammonia. To find out the percentage of ammonia, percentage of nitrogen in ammonia, which is equal to percentage of nitrogen in your given organic compound, we are now I am using back titration. See boys. So this ammonia is a base. This formed ammonia is a base. Okay. So that base is now treated with sulfuric, any acid, boys. See here. This formed ammonia, this liberated ammonia is treated with excess of acid. Excess of acid. That acid may be H2SO4 or HCl. Any one of these two acids are used. Okay. So that is that form liberated ammonia is treated with excess of acid. Excess of acid. So that means here gram equivalents. I am taking milli equivalents. Milli equivalents of ammonia is equal to milli equivalents of acid. Milli equivalents of acid. I am taking milli equivalent because these two are exactly reacted. By using that reaction, we are using formula wise. Here the user formula is percentage of nitrogen is equal to 1.4 into normality of acids into, that is, volume of acids used for ammonia neutralization by weight of organic compound. So it is the formula, boys. Please note down this formula. First of all, please note down this formula. This is the formula used to calculate percentage of nitrogen by Gelder's method. Percentage of nitrogen is equal to 1.4 into that is the normality of acid. Normality of acid into volume of acid used for ammonia. Used for ammonia for neutralization, because ammonia is base, acid is acid. So acid-base reaction, that is neutralization reaction. I'm using this, how much acid is used for neutralizing this ammonia by weight of organic compound. It is the formula. Now, so for our what we need, that is how much volume of acid is used. Into 100 is comes under this condition. All together, this is the final. No into 100. That is into 100 also comes under this formula. Okay, so this is the final formula. So that is 1.4 into normality of acid into volume of acid used for ammonia neutralization. Ammonia neutralization in ml. In ml by weight of organic compounds. Now I want to find out how much volume of acid for ammonia. This is the equation. So that is gram milliequivalents of ammonia is equal to milliequivalents of acid. That means normality into normality of base into, that is ammonia into volume of that is, see boys, it is base. Normality of base into volume of base is equal to normality of acid into volume of acid. This is the volume of acid used for. How much volume of acid is used to neutralize this ammonia? To neutralize it. But generally, in most of the cases, exact acid is not used. Exact acid is not used. Please wait. I will give you an explanation with a problem, boys. Please wait. Here, exact ammonia is not used. Excess of ammonia is used. Excess of ammonia. See here. So that liberated ammonia is passed into excess of acid. That passed into excess of acid. So that means some of this acid is neutralized with ammonia, no doubt. That means acid-base neutralization completed. But because it is excess, unreacted acid also there. Did you catch my point? So excess, because it is excess of acid, so some of the acid reacts with ammonia and neutralization takes place. We don't know how much acid is used for this purpose, but something is reacted. Okay. So now here this contains unreacted acid. How much unreacted acid is there? That unreacted acid is to find out with the help of a base like NaOH by back titration. See here. So here ammonia is there. So some acid reacts with ammonia, but some unreacted acid, which is called as excess acid, also there. Some excess acid also there. This excess acid now, this excess acid is to be calculated by using a base, because it is acid, by using a base like NaOH, in back titration. So by using base in back titration. Okay. So that means, see boys, let us please wait. So this excess, please find out this excess acid is 100 ml. Please try to understand. This excess acid is 100 ml. Ammonia is passed in this. So ammonia used. So 30 ml acid is used for ammonia. 30 ml acid is used for ammonia. That remaining 70 is there, but I don't know that 38. How much is it? That means remaining 70 is there, but we don't know that is 70. That is 70, we don't know. So that means excess acid is there, 70. That 70 is treated with base. With the help of base, we find out that 70. Actually, we are taking 100. With the help of this base, I am going to find 78. Now, how much for ammonia? 100 minus 70 is equal to 30. The 30 is used for ammonia purposes. So now to find out that 30, I am going to find out that 70 with the help of this back titration. I am going to find out that 70 with the help of this back titration. So now, did you catch my point? How, sir? I am taking with an explanation by taking a problem. Okay. So see here, volume of acid is equal to volume of acid used for ammonia plus volume of acid used for base. But we want volume of acid used for ammonia because there is a formula, there is a value used in our formula. Therefore, volume of acid for ammonia is equal to, so total volume of acid minus volume of acid used for NaOH. So this is the way to find out how much volume of acid used for ammonia. How much volume of acid used for ammonia. So this is the way to find out, guys. So now this is the theory behind to find out that volume of acid. So now is this clear? Now I am taking a problem based on this. Please wait. So at that time you should conclude. You should confirm the concepts. Okay. So that is volume of acid used for ammonia is equal to how much is total taken and how much is used for ammonia NaOH. Subtract those two values. So finally we will get volume of ammonia. Okay. So this is the theory, boys. So what is the formula? That is the percentage of nitrogen is equal to 1.4 into normality of acid. Oh, please note down. Normality of acid into volume of acid for ammonia in ml by weight of organic. This volume of acid used for ammonia is calculated like this. Now see here, there are certain conditions, boys. So in those conditions, this Jalgal method is not applicable. Now, note points. During total conclusion, that 100 is disappeared, boys. At first we are using, but so finally that 100 is inside the formula. 1.4 is there. That 1.4 contains that 100 also. Okay. That is exceptions. That is limitations. First point. This method is not, please find out, this method is not suitable to estimate nitrogen present in, the nitrogen present in A. So from where nitrogen is not possible here? That is, first one, nitro compounds. That means compounds having NO2 group, boys, Here nitrogen is there, but it is not possible to find out that nitrogen. So in for nitro compounds, Jaldal method is not applicable. Sir, how to find out that? That is Dumas method is applicable. Dumas method is applicable for all cases, but Jaldal method, some limitations are there. Okay, so nitro compounds. Next one, azo compounds. Azo compounds, nothing but N double bond N. N double bond N. Example, that is azobenzene. Azobenzene, nothing but, so that is a benzene ring with N double bond N, benzene ring. Why this is also we write as PH N double bond N PH. Both these are same end. Azobenzene. The benzene ring is indicated with PH end. Phenyl ring. Phenyl ring. Next, benzene diazonium salts. That is example for this one is, that is benzene diazonium chloride. Example for that is benzene ring with N double bond N Cl. Here also N double bond N. N double bond N. That is why N double bond N compounds are not identified in this method, boys. Azo compounds. Next, C. That is the nitroso compounds. Nitroso compounds. That is nothing but, that is NO compounds. NO compounds containing NO. There nitrogen is there, not estimated by this method. Next, azonitroso compounds. That is D. Azoxy compounds. Azoxy compounds. What is that? Azo group and oxygen, both are there. Azoxy compound. So compounds containing that group also not estimated like this, not estimated like this. Next, some more. That is nitrogen present in the ring. That is, what is that? That is E. Nitrogen present in the ring. Nitrogen present in the ring also not possible. See here how. That is, example, pyridine. Pyridine, nothing but one of the carbons of benzene is replaced with nitrogen. Pyrrole, that is 5-membered ring. Pyrrole. Next, quinoline. Quinoline, QUI. Quinoline, that is 2 benzene rings are fused in it, but one of the corners is nitrogen. Quinoline, like this, boys. Quinoline, like this. Whatever, wherever it is, nitrogen, if it is present in the ring, are not estimated like these points. So please keep in mind, based on this explanation, this that is, what is that? Limitation. At least one bit is there. Based on this limitation, at least one bit must be available. In which of the following case nitrogen is estimated by Jaldal's method? Nitro compounds, azo compounds, azoxy compounds, and nitrogen present in the ring. These are the very, very important cases. These are the very, very important cases. So this is the theory behind in Jaldal's method. Now problems on Jaldal's method. At least 2 problems will appear in your tomorrow's exam, Saturday exam. No doubt. Problem set. Why, sir? Why these compounds are not estimated by Jaldal's method? In these compounds, because in these compounds, so because from these compounds, nitrogen not converts into ammonium sulfate. Because at the beginning, what about the nitrogen present in your given organic compound? First of all, convert into ammonium sulfate, then converts into ammonia. So if ammonium sulfate is not possible, ammonia is also not possible. So that's why. So by using ammonia, we can estimate that nitrogen percentage. So that's why here ammonium sulfate may or maybe not possible. Because of this reason, these compounds are not used to estimate by Jalda's method for nitrogen. Okay. So this is the case wise. Azoxy. Please identify the conditioning. Azoxy. So that is the functional group in that case. So those compounds having azoxy compounds. Apply benzene for that, no doubt. That is the way. The free valency is noted with benzene. That is a benzene azoxy component. Azoxy benzene. Okay, problem setting. So what is the formula for calculating nitrogen percentage? That is 1.4 into normality of acid into volume of acids for ammonia in ml by weight of organic compound. Please keep in mind weight of organic compound. Problem number 1. Azo, diazo, both are same. Both are same. Note down. 1.2 grams. 1.2 grams of an organic compound. 1.2 grams of an organic compound on Jaldelisation. On Jaldelisation. That is heating in Jaldas void, Jaldas tubing. On Jaldelisation liberates ammonia, which consumes 30 centimeter cube, nothing but cc ra, nothing but ml ra, 30 centimeter cube of 1NHCl. 1NHCl. So percentage of nitrogen is equal to dash. Percentage of nitrogen is equal to dash. See boys, so that liberated ammonia exactly uses 30 centimeter cubed. That means exact value is given to you, not excess. So that's why this is value directly we can use it. Therefore, percentage of nitrogen is equal to 1.4 into normality of acid, that is 1N into, so volume of acid, this is exactly used in it, that is 30 by weight of organic compound 1.1. Weight of organic compound 1.2. So finally we have the answer, that is a 35. That means it contains 35%. Here the given value is exact value for ammonia. No need of back titration. No need of back titration. It is direct formula, method. Now, how to find out? That is Jaldelisation. See here. That is back titration conditions. Second problem. Second problem. .4422 grams of an organic compound was Jaldelized and ammonia evolved was absorbed in 50 ml of semi-molar H2SO4. Semi-molar H2SO4. The residual acid the residual acids required 131 ml of 0.25 m NaOH. Percentage of nitrogen is equal to how much? Percentage of nitrogen is equal to how much? See boys, ammonia evolved, which is absorbed in excess, and 50 ml acid is there. But entire 50 ml is not used for ammonia. Something is remained. That remaining is required this much value and this much value and. So that is why first of all you should calculate how much for ammonia, volume of acid used for how much ammonia, how much for ammonia. First of all you should calculate it. Now see here, solution. Now I am using for ammonia NaOH condition, that is volume of acid and the normality of acid is equal to volume of base and the normality of base. So this is for this one. So I am trying to find out how much volume of acid is used for NaOH. Okay. So therefore, volume of acid into normality of acid. How much is the normality of acid is given to you? So semi-molar. What is the meaning of semi-molar? Semi-molar means molarity is equal to 1 by 2 m. So molarity 1 by 2 m, normality is equal to n factor into molarity n. Therefore, so for H2SO4, n factor is equal to 2. Therefore, so normality is equal to 2 into 1 by 2, which is equal to 1 n. That is 1 n. So it is side calculation wise. So normality of acid is equal to volume of base. How much of the base is used? 131 into volume normality of base. So for this NaOH, n factor is equal to 1. That implies molarity is equal to normality. That is why it is 0.25. Okay, that implies volume of acid is equal to. So by calculation, that is 131. 0.25 means 1 by 4. Finally, we will get 32.75. This is volume of acid used for ammonia, NaOH. Therefore, volume of acid for NH3 is equal to V total minus volume of acid for NaOH. Total acid. That is total acid volume is how much? 50 is given to you. 50 minus for NaOH how much is used? That is 32.75, which is equal to 17.25 ml. Therefore, volume of acid used for ammonia in ml is 17.25. Apply the formula. Therefore, percentage of nitrogen is equal to 1.4 into normality of acid. Normality of acid is how much? 1 ending. 1 into. Next, volume of ammonia, that is 17.25. That is volume of acid used for ammonia, 17.25 by 0.4422. This is the weight of organic compound given to you. That is, finally we will get 54.61 is the answer. 54.61 is the answer, guys. So see here. So it is because it is in excess. First of all, find out how much for NaOH, volume of acid, how much for NaOH. So subtract that value from total. That remaining value is used for ammonia. That value is used, boys. Okay. Is this easy? Let us discuss one more problem. Based on this. Okay. So last problem for today's class. Next problem. What is that? Ammonia obtained from 0.4 grams of an organic compound 0.4 grams of an organic compound by Geldahl's methods. JEL. Geldahl's methods was absorbed in 30 ml of 0.25 m H2SO4. MH2SO4. Full stop. The excess acids was neutralized by the addition of 0.2 m NaOH. Okay, by the addition of 30 ml. 30 ml 0.2 m NaOH. Stop. Percentage of nitrogen is equal to how much? Percent. Just as usual problem, boys. Yes, do yourself, Gaurav. Do yourself. Boys, do yourself. As it is. If you want to find out N factor, please go and search our YouTube channel, boys. For acids, N factor is equal to number of replaceable hydrogens. Number of replaceable. Yes, correct. Correct, Bashwan. All of you correct, boys. Everyone is correct. 100%. Gaurav. See here, my H2SO4 given molarity is equal to how much? 0.25 m. So for this N factor is equal to 2 ra. Therefore, normality is equal to N factor into molarity ra. 0.25 into 2, that is 0.5. 0.5. 100% correct ra. Answer is 31.5 ra. First of all, VA-NA is equal to VB-NB ra. It is for NaOH, boys. Please consider. Now, VA into normality of acid is 0.5. Is equal to volume of base 30 into volume normality of base. So for NaOH, N factor is equal to 1, molarity is equal to normality. Therefore 0.2. Therefore volume of acid is equal to how much? That is 12 N. 12 N. Therefore volume of acid for ammonia is equal to V total, that is 30 ra. 30 minus 12, 18. 30 minus 12, 18. Therefore, percentage of nitrogen is equal to 1.4 into normality of acid ra. Normality of acid is how much? 0.25. 0.5 ra into volume of acid used for ammonia by weight of argon, that is 0.4. 0.4. We will get 31.5 is the final answer. And most of the students done well, boys. Yes, 31.5. So this is about Geldahl's method. So this is the end of estimations. Boys, next one. Note down. Estimation of oxygen. Estimation of oxygen. So no direct method. No direct methods. Percentage of oxygen is equal to 100 minus percentage of carbon plus percentage of hydrogen plus percentage of nitrogen plus etc. This is the way, boys. So no direct method. All percentages summation that is subtracted from 100 that gives percentage of oxygen. So it is the direct way. Okay. So it is the only way. No other methods are used here. Okay. So this is our estimation, boys, about all elements. Up to today's class, this weekend syllabus.